Well, hey, welcome back to part 2 of this step-by-step cam chain tensioner change out and inner cam bearings and revival for this 2006 Road King. So welcome back to Butler Customs Motorcycle Shop. I've got my cams timed where they need to be. Yep, we're still good there. Now we're going to get this support plate. Remember, this goes here and it'll only go on one way. So see, that's backwards. Our holes don't line up here. Put this over here, and that's where it goes. Now you want to be careful not to get this pinched under this. So you'll want to move this kind of back out of the way as you're pressing these in, and then make sure you're able to slide this up after the cams are seated and that you can line your holes back up. That's retention plate kind of hangs out right under here. Okay, so I got my retainer plate up here. It's moving around good. I got my bearings in. I can see by the lobes they are set just perfect, identical to each other. I come up here. I've got my clip in now. Everything looks good. If I line these up, they are dead on according to the marks. So our timing should be good. I'm going to leave this clip in. The reason for that is when you go to put this back in, if you have tension on this rear chain, what's going to happen is these are going to be pulled. When this pulls together, I believe they pull these together and they're hard to get into your new bearings on the inside. So leave this off. That's why they put a hole over here. You can do this, put it down, and when you get them in there and get them set up and then you zip, 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 then you can go ahead and pull this out. You can even put you a little flathead up here so it doesn't just snap down quick, but it's not going to hurt anything. So I'll leave that in there. Now we're ready for this shoe out here, and then we're actually ready to change out our O-rings, oil everything up, and go ahead and slide our plate back on. Okay, there's the hole for that. This goes right down over that. Should fit good enough for us to get our clip back on. Alright, clipped in then. Then I'll take me some pliers and just kind of close them up there, just so I know they're good and tight. Alright, now that's in. Now we can pull this back, throw another pin in there. Gosh, I got too much stuff laying around. But we're about to put everything up. Let me go ahead and throw this on just so I don't forget it. Okay, that shoe's on. It's ready to go on. Now, all we got to do for this bear is go ahead and put these in, these little T20s. Again, they are blue Loctited, and then they're torqued to 20 to 30 inch pounds, not foot pounds. Inch pounds. We'll clean up the threads real good. And I worry about torquing these, but if you try to tighten them by hand, you'll over tighten them. 20 inch pounds is not much at all. And I got my new digital torque wrenches, my 1/4 inch I'm going to get out. But first we'll blue them. Way too much blue Loctite. Perfect. Go ahead and get them all kind of lined up. Makes me feel better now doing this job once we saw the rear chain tensioner or the inner chain tensioner. I don't think he'd have got another 10,000 out of it. All right, so I want to run these down just till they touch. Then we'll torque them. Then we can go ahead and start opening up our gasket kit. I'm going to go on the low side of the torque spec just because I've seen these snap off before. Boy, that's not much at all, guys. Whew, that's not much at all. And it goes red quick. Yeah, if you're hand tightening these with a ratchet, you could easily snap these off. All right, so everything on this cam plate is done. Now we can go ahead and get our kit and we can start putting things in. Now remember, we've got this, it's going to go on the outside. And we're also going to oil up our needle bearings again. And then we'll pull this one out, and this big one back here. Anytime you replace or pull this plate off, you better replace this. If not, you will get an oil leak 100% of the time. Before that, I'm going to clean all this mess up. There's a lot of stuff over here I don't need anymore, and that way I got a little bit better working environment. Okay, we're ready now to go back with our plate. So we want to change out these O-rings in the kit that I've got. I opened it wrong side up, so let me put it like that. Is this right here, a good James one. 99 to present, twin cams. Okay, so here's what you're going to get in your kit. Rocker box gaskets, and they're good metal gaskets with those ribbed ridges. I really like those. Let me set this cover out here so that I don't get dirty. You'll get 2 of those. Let's see, you'll get some different styles, a couple different styles for your breather assembly. There's those styles, and then you'll get some styles like this, and your lifter box covers. There's your new breather filters, your new umbrellas, and then there's 2 O-rings in there. These don't go here, they go on top of your second cover on your head, underneath these. So they package these separate so you know not to get them mixed up. It comes with a little card here about the gaskets themselves. James Gaskets recommends Loctite 242, just stock torque specs. So no change in that. Now when you get into head bolts, you know, that's going to be a little bit different. New exhaust gaskets, but as you know, I like to use the other style of exhaust gaskets. Then you've got a packet of O-rings like this. That's for your tube, your push rod tubes that go in the bottom, on top of your lifter blocks, up in the heads, and in the middle of the tubes. So they package these separate as well. Then the only thing left in the bag is this. So here's the 2 O-rings we need right here, there, and there. And then this big O-ring goes right back here and replaces this stock yellow one. So I'll go ahead and pull it out. We'll of course want to clean out where that O-ring was setting. Just make sure there's no trash in there. We will lube it up real good. I'll lube up in here, and then we'll go ahead and push the O-ring up in that little housing of the seat there. It'll fit right up in there good and tight, and it'll stay in there. And now we got our 2 brown ones here as well. Been in there a minute. There, and we'll go ahead and pull. Whoop, that one shot out on us. We'll clean our little holes up here. Nice and clean. And here as well. Nice and clean. Get us some oil there. Go all up around in there. And we'll oil up our O-rings as well. And then we'll just push those in there. They should stay in there. Now, we'll go ahead and oil up our needle bearings again. We'll go ahead and oil up the back of our cams that go up in the needle bearings. And we'll go ahead and oil up this shaft right here that this is going to ride on. Now we will dump some oil down in this as well once we get the cover back on. But I just want this good and lubed up. I don't want to run my finger down in the oil pump because I don't want to get it out of where it's set. Now I want to wipe off the back of my plate. Make sure that it's good and clean. Bring my retainer sliding ring back just so that it's nice and smooth. And I'm going to probably do the same for up here, though it really doesn't matter. Okay, now this assembly is ready to go back in. So, oh, I forgot one thing. This right here. Okay, you want to oil this up. This goes in that big O-ring. It's tapered, so it should fit up in there nice and smooth. So now we're ready. We got tension off the chain back here. I'm going to eyeball it down here to line it up over the oil pump. I'm going to go super slow to make sure my cams get up in there, a little bit of a wiggle, 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 and then things set right up in there. Now, if it doesn't feel right, stop, take it off, try it again. Now I can turn my cams right here. I can take me a straight edge and a light. They are dead on. Okay, so I know I'm timed right on this, so that's good. Now I can go ahead with my bolts and tighten these down. And the torque specs on these, I believe, are 90 to 120 inch-pounds. And I'm going to go with 100 inch-pounds. There's just 6 of them. Now your cam chain tensioner might get in the way of this. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Oh, okay, so I'm going to tighten these down by hand a little bit. And there is a pattern to them, so let me go look it up. Okay, the pattern is 1 right here, 2 here, 3 up here, and 4 down here, then 5 here, then 6 here. Now we can torque them to 100 inch-pounds. When checking these with this pin still in, you might say, well, it's a little bit off. Well, when the tension goes on that chain, it'll kind of pull things together. So you just want to slide this pin out. And now that locked everything in and down. Yes. Perfect. Okay. So I know my cams are lined up. When I looked them up in the manual, it had the same markings. So maybe these are stock cams. You guys tell me if you know if they are or not. We're ready now to go back with our gears. And now what you'll find on the gears is that on these teeth, they're all the same size except for one part right here is a bigger tooth. And then this has a cutout. So what we want to do is we're probably going to have to, unless I put everything back just right, we're probably going to have to pull this tool out and see how these goes. Now we'll put our washer back on, or spacer, and then we can line this up down here. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Are you looking at it? That went in perfect. So we got it right. Good job. Now, of course, this bolt with the big spacer will go right here. This bolt with the little one will go right here. Let me go look the torque specs up on these. Okay, so I got to pull these back off again very, very carefully because the manual says to oil splines up and the gears themselves as well. Now we've got our spacer back there. Now we don't have to worry about setting the clearance or anything like that on these because we're just putting back the parts that were on it. Now the washer, we're going to put oil on the washer itself on both sides. Then we're going to clean the thread off real good, and we're going to use red Loctite on both bolts. There's a torquing sequence to these where you'll torque them to a certain foot-pounds, you'll loosen it one full turn, torque it again. And we'll get our locking tool. We'll lock that right in there like that. Now we can torque things down. I'm going to go ahead and pull my pin out now. And it says to torque them to 15 foot-pounds at the beginning, alternating between the two. And so we'll just start tightening. We got our locking tool in, so we don't have to worry about that. When I start to feel some resistance, I'll go about there. I'll go down here and start on this one. What is it? Is that different? That's ½ inch. I thought they were the same when we took them off. No, they were not. They were different because I talked about them being different. Some of them are the same. I might have to lock up early today. My other son's birthday today. Okay. We'll go back to this one. It's different. I just want to go to 15. There's that. We'll go to 15 on the ½ inch down here. there's that. Loosen each bolt 1 full turn. So we'll go with this, the 1/2 inch. We'll start here. We'll go 1. Oh, I can't go down there. There's 1 full turn. And then we'll go 1 full turn up here. Okay. Now, tighten the crank sprocket flange bolt to 24 foot-pounds, that's the small one. Then tighten the primary chain sprocket up here to 34 foot-pounds. Of course, it's the bigger one, so that makes sense. So we're going to tighten the smaller 1/2 inch bottom one to 24 foot-pounds. Okay. And then we're going to tighten the cam one to 34 foot-pounds. There we go. So let me get this tool out. I probably shouldn't have locked that, but I can just take that tool and go back and then get this out, right? Let me do that because I don't want to booger up my tool by grabbing it with pliers or anything, because it's a really nice gems tool. Probably one of the only gems thing man can afford. And it's even got it marked cam side, so you know it goes up here. So pretty neat. Hey, we're done. We're lined up. We're on spot. We are timed. New shoes in, new bearings in the back. Everything's torqued. Now we're ready for our plate to go back on. Okay, so I got to pull these back off again very, very carefully because the manual says to oil the splines up. Oil these splines up and the gears themselves as well. Now we've got our spacer back there. Now we don't have to worry about setting the clearance or anything like that on these because we're just putting back the parts that were on it. Now the washer, we're going to put oil on the washer itself on both sides. Then we're going to clean the thread off real good, and we're going to use red Loctite on both bolts. Manual says 1 drop. Well, I can never do just 1 drop. It always comes out way too much. So I'll run this in where it holds it. There's a torquing sequence to these where you'll torque them to certain foot-pounds. You'll loosen it 1 full turn, torque it again. Put some oil on this as well. We'll wipe that oil off. Put some red Loctite on that. We'll stick this in here. And we'll get our locking tool. It says cam side there. We'll lock that right in there like that. Now we can torque things down. Hey babe, what's your name?
What time it was.
What time?
Until 5.
Okay. I can go over there like this.
Okay.
It'll be fine. Let me finish this. I'll probably have to come out here tomorrow. Finish filming, that way I'm not behind.
All right. Well, I mean, Trey's in the shower, so it's going to be like 10 or 15 minutes
Okay.
before we're ready. But I wanted you to just know what was going on.
That's fine. I can just go like this.
Okay.
Yeah, all right.
I figured you were.
Okay.
Oh, food. What do you want to do? Do I need to cook you a steak? Do you want that shaved beef to take?
What are we having?
Pizza.
What kind?
Haley's getting it.
Well, I can't eat CC's.
No. It's probably at Hunt's Brothers.
Yeah, cook me that shaved beef with Worcestershire, salt and pepper, and cheese. That'd be good.
All right.
Maybe a little bit of honey in it too.
Okay.
Honey. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pull my pin out now. And it says to torque them to 15 foot-pounds at the beginning, alternating between the two. And so we'll just start tightening. We got our locking tool in, so we don't have to worry about that. When I start to feel some resistance, I'll go about there. I'll go down here and start on this one. What is it? Is that different? That's 1/2 inch. I thought they were the same when we took them off. No, they were not. They were different because I talked about them being different. Some of them are the same. I might have to lock up early today. My other son's birthday today. Okay. We'll go back to this one. That's different. I just want to go to 15. There's that. We'll go to 15 on the 1/2 inch down here. There's that. Loosen each bolt 1 full turn. So we'll go with this on the 1/2 inch. We'll start here. We'll go 1. Oh, I can't go down there. There's 1 full turn. And then we'll go 1 full turn up here. Okay. Now, tighten the crank sprocket flange bolt to 24 foot-pounds. That's the small one. Then tighten the primary chain sprocket up here to 34 foot-pounds. Of course, it's the bigger one, so that makes sense. So we're going to tighten the smaller 1/2 inch bottom one to 24. Okay. And then we're going to tighten the cam one to 34 foot-pounds. So let me get this tool out. I probably shouldn't have locked that, but I can just take that tool and go back and then get this out, right? Right? Let me do that because I don't want to booger up my tool by grabbing it with pliers or anything, because it's a really nice Jim's tool. Probably one of the only Jim's thing man can afford. And it's even got it marked cam side, so you know it goes up here. So pretty neat. Hey, we're done. We're lined up. We're on spot. We are timed. New shoes in, new bearings in the back. Everything's torqued. Now we're ready for our plate to go back on. I forgot to mention when I put the cam plate on, you want to blow out your holes here, your threaded holes. Just make sure there's no oil, debris, old thread lock, water, anything like that up in there. Your holes you want to pay attention to on your cover. When you take this out right here for your cam plate, oil can run down this side here and into this hole right here. So you want to make sure you clean all those out, a thread chaser or anything like that. But make sure you blow it out. You'll find there'll be some debris come out of there, and then clean up your surface real good. And now this is ready to go in. Also, clean your threads up. If you don't have a thread chaser, take you some wire strippers. You can see I've been using them. See all the crud come off the threads even though they looked clean. Look at all that. So you just put it in there and just lightly press and then twist in and out, get all that crud off. So these are ready to go back on. I got my plate here. It is nice and cleaned up on the inside. And I went ahead just for us to kind of help and just labeled them, how we're going to torque them. 125 to 155 inch-pounds. And we'll get our gasket ready. It's a good James gasket. I've got my threads on my bolts, on all 10 bolts, good and thread locked. The manual doesn't say to thread lock it, but I do. Okay, so we're just like that right there. Let me get a couple started in here just to kind of hold it up for us. There we go. Now when you're putting on the bottom, make sure that your clutch cable is kind of out of the way and not caught up between the case, the cover, and the case there. So kind of pull it down, look around, inspect it, pull over here, just make sure it's out of the way before you go cranking down on these bolts. Now, if you got your holes cleaned out and you got your threads on your bolts cleaned out, they just go in like butter. They're all the same size. Of course, these are the longer bolts. Your cam plate will actually have the shorter bolts. And one more right here. Now I'm just going to ratchet these down just kind of tight by hand. The 3/16 on these. Okay, so that'll be our number 1. This here will be our number 2. This will be our number 3. This will be our number 4. This will be 5. This will be 6. This will be 7. This will be 8. This will be 9. And this will be 10. Now we'll go ahead and torque them down. 125 to 155 inch-pounds. Let's go 135. Okay, 135, and that is on inches. Please make sure it's on inches. All right, we'll go with 1 here. We'll go with 2 down here. We'll go with 3 here. We'll go with 4 here. We'll go with 5 here. I always like to go just nice and slow, especially with torquing. There's 7 and 8, 9, and 10. All right, that is done. Now, if you want to go down here with 1 and check, you can. Yep, never moved on us, so that's good. If you want to get this off, you can usually just wipe it off. I use a Sharpie. You can just take some carb cleaner on a rag and just wipe over this chrome. If this was not chromed, of course I would not be writing on it. That'd be hard to get off. And all that just wipes right off. So you don't have to worry about that. Very good. And it kind of helps clean your chrome up too. All right, now we're ready to go ahead and move up to our lifters. All right, now for our lifters, you've got a fill hole here. And what I want to do is just go ahead and pump this up and then drop it in. Now this is the orientation it came out of. You'll see a hole here and nothing on the other side. So these came out with both holes, oil holes, pointing towards me on the outside. So what I want to do, you can soak these, but these are going back in the bike. So I'm just going to pump some oil right in that hole till I see air bubbles shooting out the top and that lifter being pumped up. That is good right there. Now I will go ahead and go down in this hole with another oil can and just get right down in there over those cam lobes. Real nice and good. Okay, now I'll go straight up with my cam where my hole was, or straight up with my lifter where my hole was. I'll make sure I'm getting good oil down there on that roller, and I'm just going to slide it right down in there in that same orientation. I'm not worried about where the lobe sets just now. We'll do that after we get our pin locked in. And I will do the same for this lifter. I had a lot of air in it. Make sure this is good and oiled up down here. And I'm just going to drop this down with the oil hole pointing in the orientation it came out. Right down in there just like that. Now I'll get you up here so you can kind of see how that locking pin goes in. So I've got my locking pin here. I want to make sure it's nice and clean. And that goes right down in here. And I want to make sure my lifters are setting on the flat sides. And this prevents the lifters from getting sideways on you and destroying catastrophic damage inside there. Now we're ready to go back with our cap, our cover. So again, I have made sure that my surface is clean on both sides, the cover and this, and they are. I'll make sure my thread holes are cleaned up. I'll make sure my threads are cleaned up. Then I want to get my gaskets out. Now on these gaskets, you'll find they've got little tabs here, and those actually go over this right here. They do not go like this. That would get in the way of things. Okay, they're going to go just like that, and the same on this side over here. Yep, Now I'm ready for my cover to go over. And now I can clean my threads up on these bolts. And I'm going to put a dab of blue on them. I'm going to run them in, and then we're going to torque them. Now, I will not be able to torque back here. I don't have anything that's going to torque back here. This, maybe. These two, yes. So I'm going to torque one on the outside, kind of then put a wrench on there, which will be this. And I want to just kind of feel, because they're only torqued from 90, I think, to 120 inch-pounds. So I want to go 100. And I want to feel kind of where that torque is and try to match that back there. Right there. Now I'll come over here, we'll do our 100. And I want to try to match that back here as well. Right there. All right, that's in. Lifters are in. Now you can eyeball down in there or even put your fingers on there. Rotate the tire. You just want to make sure your lifters are going up and down, nice and smooth. Of course, we'll have to do this to set the push rods anyway. But yeah, they're going up and down really, really well. Up, oh yeah, really like that. Okay, very good. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing here. Won't waste your time with that. And then we can start dropping our push rods in. Okay, we're ready now to go back with our push rods now that the lifters are in. And before we do that, we got to get our O-rings and stuff for the push rod tubes and the covers. So I've got my push rods here. I did label them front end and front exhaust. Is because your exhaust lifter is placed out here. And it has to travel a further distance than the inside one. Your inside lifter is tucked up way under here, kind of risen up. And it's a shorter distance up here to the head and to the rocker arm. Back here, if I did this right here, did the old measuring tool, and did this back here, you can see why it's got to be longer. So if you misplace them or get them mixed up, but you know these both are fronts, the silver shorter one is intake, the black exhaust one is longer. I like to blow in these just to make sure there's no obstruction in them. Also, check out the tips. All right, I like to try to leave them as they go in, so I know this road on the rocker arm, and I know this road on the lifter. We're going back with the same push rods and the same lifters. So before we do all that, we've got to rebuild these. There's O-rings here. There's thicker, smaller O-rings usually stay up in the head. Sometimes you'll see them come out on here. So what I want to do is replace these, oil them up, replace these up here. Usually I have to get a pick or a pocket knife and pop them out. And then there's an O-ring in here as well that we'll replace. While we got these off, we'll clean up where these slide. We'll oil up this spring here, clean it off, see how that gets rusty. You say, why does it get rusty? Pressure washing your bike. Don't do that. You'll see that there's a spacer there that keeps this O-ring from getting damaged from the spring. There's this little cap. And then this curved part goes up in here to catch that O-ring. And then of course you got your snap that goes on there at the end. This grooved here sits down inside here, nice and tight with your O-ring. And the same up here for the top. So let's rebuild these real quick, get them nice and clean on the inside and outside, and put new O-rings in here and new O-rings up here. In your packet, the O-rings will all be the same colors. Although this is yellow, this is black, the one in the push rod's black. So I like to lay them out. The ones up top will be really thick, so that's these right here. There'll be bigger ones, that's those in here, and then medium-sized one that goes in the middle of the push rod tube. So they're not that, hard to differentiate between, but I'll get them out, I'll oil everything up, clean everything up. All right, so we'll start with our intake here. I want to go ahead and pull out these in the lifter right here. Although they look good, I am not going to use them again. There's a smaller one, a smaller one, a smaller one, a smaller one. There's 4 thick ones that go on the top of the head, and then there's these right here, these 4 that go in the bottom of the lifter. So don't get them mixed up, because if you got them that look kind of good, it might be hard to see if they're flattened. These are kind of flattened, though they still are pliable, and these are nice and round. So you'll be able to tell the difference, but if you're doing this and some fella's been in there before, you might not know the difference. So keep them kind of separated. Now take your rag and kind of clean out where those new O-rings are going to set, just in case there's any debris in there. The last thing you want is to put everything together and then you got a teeny tiny oil leak, and it's just because you didn't wipe them down. So we'll take some fresh oil here, just oil them up a little bit, pop them right in the top of our lifters. Make sure they're sitting down in there nice and flush. Very good. Now we can start disassembling this. You just pull this off, slide this down, and then you've got that O-ring there. It's pretty bad. You've got this and your spring and then your cap. Now we can clean all this up. I want to get all that rust off. Green Scotch-Brite pad works really good. And pay attention up here where that yellow O-ring was sitting in the head. Clean that off too. Get it nice and shiny. Spray out the insides. Do the same for this. And do the same for your cap as well. Your cap will look pretty bad up in there. Clean your springs up, a little wire brush, some oil, Scotch-Brite pad, and your washer as well. And then we can put our new O-ring in. All right, we got everything cleaned up. Now we're ready to just reassemble. We've got our slider tube cleaned up. You're not going to be able to get everything off the top of that, but that's fine. Go ahead and slide that up in there. We'll take our spring up in there. We'll take our washer up in there, and then we'll oil up our new O-ring that's going to go up in there. We'll slide that on. We're going to pull this down. We'll oil that spring up a little bit too, since we cleaned it off and it's kind of bone dry. Get a little bit of oil up underneath that washer as well. There we go, and then we can slide this on as well. Now we're ready to go ahead and start. Now, a little tip to help you. Pull this down just a little bit so that you can get a flat blade screwdriver up in there to kind of push this up. And the more you oil this up right here, the better it'll kind of slide on you. Now we'll go up in the head and we'll put these 2 in up there, and we'll go ahead and rebuild this one. Okay, now our push rod tubes and our push rods are ready to go in. I like to just lube these up a little bit just so they're not, dry going in. All right, this is the black and longer. This is the exhaust. We're going to come into the exhaust port here. We're going to get our tube ready. We're just going to slide that. Oh, give me a little bit of room there. We're just going to slide that tube in. We're going to go right down and feel and twist and make sure it is on that. And I'm just going to let that hang out there for now. Going to do the same for the intake. Get a little bit of oil on there. A little bit of oil on the tips. Get my tubes ready. All right, we're just going to go right down in like that. I already got my O-rings up in the heads. Make sure it's seated down on there. Okay, now we're ready to go ahead and go on the top end. We'll do this one first because we had to leave the rocker arms in this. The reason for that, to get these rocker arms out with those bolts in the back, you have to take this right here off. Before we start putting the rocker arm assembly on, I want to clean off all this gasket material here that he was probably seeing in his filter. So I want to clean that off real good. Make sure it's nice and neat. Try to catch the stuff on the outside, not let it run off on the inside. It should come off nice and easy. It is chromed, so nothing really sticks to it, that hard. You may see some residue left, but you just want to get it nice and smooth. You want all that. And I guarantee you that's what he was seeing in his filter. That probably, scared the bejesus out of him. But it was time to change those cam chain tensioners anyway. Now he won't have to worry about it for a while. He can ride and enjoy the ride. So I'm going to do that all the way around. We're also going to clean our threads out, clean the threads for the covers, Do all that before the rocker arm assembly goes on, and you'll have room to work before that's in there. Before we start working on our rocker arms and breather assembly, let's go ahead and replace that O-ring. These are often forgotten, and the kit does come with them. It'll come in the pack with the breathers and the umbrella, and they will be brown on the James gasket kits. We'll clean all this out right here. Just make sure we got a good seat on it. Just push that down on it just like that. Hey, I'm jumping right in here to let you know those breather bolt holes where the breather bolts go in, you certainly want to take you some compressed air, get in those holes and blow those holes out. If you have oil that gets down in those threaded holes, when you go to torque down those breather bolts, you could push out actually the casting and the bottom of your heads and destroy your heads. I mean, destroy them. And you'll actually get oil leaking out. When we opened up the rocker tops, or the top covers, it was dry as a bone. So I didn't have any oil or have to worry about any oil being in there. Actually, when I pulled the breather bolts out, threads were dry too. But if you've been running the bike and you just have it on the lift, it's not been set in a couple years like this one, please take the time to blow all those holes out in the top. Every hole you find, just kind of blow them out, clean them out. Not just the breather bolt holes, but I'll just go ahead and do it all. And we'll go ahead and do this one back here. Gonna have to kind of hold the rocker arm up and get that out. There we go. And then while I got this raised up, I'm going to clean out underneath there, clean the bottom of my rocker arm assembly off, clean out the hole there. Try to go all the way back best I can, just to clean out anything that might be there. I'll raise this up, I'll slide my O-ring in, I'll press it down, make sure it's nice and seated, and then those are done. Now to set the rocker assembly on, we want these push rods to be at the lowest point. Now you can do it a couple ways. Before you even put the push rods in, you can stick your fingers in the lifters, spin the back wheel until you feel the lifters go all the way down. I like to do it, to wait and do it after I put the push rods in. Then I can visually see and feel at the lowest point of both of my push rods. So now my intake's going up. There it is down. Now my exhaust is going up. Now it's down. Now my intake's going up. That's going to let the fuel and air in, and then that is down. So I should be top dead center right there. You can verify it if you want to go over and look in the hole, the spark plug hole. I like it right there. Now I'm going to go ahead and take my breather assembly off on the front because I've got room to work and put it on after. So I'm going to clean up where my breather assembly sits. I'm also going to flip this over, hold the bolts in. I'm going to clean the bottom of all this up. I'm going to inspect my lifter arms. They look really, really good. They don't feel, I don't have any gouges. They're not wore off or way over here or out here or about here. They're centered really well. Now with the bolts out, I want to check for lash up and down here. That feels pretty good. Not excessive. They make rocker lockers. They kind of take out that end play there, but those feel good. If you wanted to pull your rods out, you could, but these feel good. They float nice and good. I'm not going to take them apart. I think it's good to go on. Also check your divots here where your push rods actually set. Those look good. I'll clean those out. We'll put some fresh oil up here, some fresh oil here, and don't forget fresh rods, fresh oil back here on your valve springs. Now this is ready just to set on, and go ahead and set down right on there just like that. It's going to get cattywampus on you till you put your bolts back in, but I had some really, really dry bolts. Now these are not thread locked. You will thread lock the breather bolts, but you will not thread lock these. And get this up kind of where I think it should go. Okay, so if you run into a situation like this won't go in. That's because these rods here for your rockers are slotted so that your bolt will only go in one way. So if that happens, you're going to have to pull this out. See that slot there? So I want this to be turned this way, then go in and there. Okay, I can get those two started, and I can go ahead and clean up my rears, make sure they're good and clean, and go right back in there with these. Now there is a torque pattern to these, and since we did pump those lifters up with oil, we're going to turn a quarter at a time. I think it's maybe it's 1, 2, 3, and then 4. We'll see. We're going to turn a quarter at a time. We're going to wait. We're going to let those lifters bleed down to get tension off the push rods. Then once I can spin the push rods again with my fingers, we'll go a quarter turn at a time, maybe a little bit more depending on the tightness of the push rods. What you want to do is compress those push rods down, bringing those lifters down, but remember they're filled with oil. So we want to go slow. We want to compress them and wait. Then what will happen is they'll bleed off, and then the push rods will get loose again, then a quarter turn more. So it's a process. And you do that till you get these seated all the way down. Make sure the push rods are loose. Then you can do your final torque. So I'm just going to get these down. I want to make sure that my push rod is seated down in the lifter. I can spin it. I see it seated up here. It feels good. Also on the intake, same thing. So now I can just go down just till it touches with my fingers. And I can do the same back here. It's getting a little tight, but it's still up. All right, so now I'm just going to run these down till they touch. If you're following along with the cursed Dyna that we uncursed, took us a minute, but we got it. We took it out for a ride Saturday. Rode all the way up to Center Hill Dam. I think it was about 150 miles the time we got back home. And I want to tell you, that bike did great. Kind of got me spoiled. You know, I ride a panhead with a 4-speed. This is a twin cam with a 6-speed. Man, rides like a Cadillac. It kind of got me spoiled a little bit, but it sold. I know some of you subscribers had gotten on a wait list for it, but the fella that was on it, one of our customers in the shop, was actually first on the list, and then I had a list of subscribers that was first as well. And he rode with us Saturday, got on it, and said, yeah, it's time for me to upgrade. It might not go through. He's got to go to the bank tomorrow, so we'll see. Now that these are down, I can still look down in here and see that this rocker arm assembly is off. So I just want to make sure. Okay, that's tight and that's tight. So I'm not going to do anything right now. So we're bleeding down, probably about 30 thousandths. So I'm going to wait till those get loose. I might put a little bit of pressure on them, but let me look up the torque spec on these, the sequence at least, till I can get these down seated, then we'll torque them. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So we'll go ahead. These should seat pretty good. We do a little bit of quarter of a turn, quarter of a turn, quarter of a turn, and I'll wait. These are tight, and the reason you do this and let those lifters bleed down is so that you don't bend a push rod or break something down in there. You don't need to break. It should take 5-10 minutes and then come back, you know. Get your cup of coffee, grab you a Slim Jim, whatever. Sit and watch some old videos of mine. And then come back in 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Make sure you can spin these. Make sure they're bled down. And then do a quarter turn again at a time. It won't take long to get them down. So just take your time and be patient. And while these are bleeding down, it's a good thing to go ahead and get your breather bolts in, just so you know you got everything kind of situated. It kind of helps to line up, and I forgot that step. So we'll take our cap off, clean it off real nice and good. You've got this gasket here that usually comes off nice and good. Take that out, flip it over. You've got another gasket here that will come off usually in pieces. They're not metal, so a flat blade will usually get them all off, but these are coming off pretty good. Then you'll pull out your breather filter, and then you'll just take your pocket knife, or usually you can grab it with your hands and pull this butterfly valve out, umbrella valve out. Clean everything off nice and good. Get up in there and that breather, make sure everything, all the old gasket is off. Got a little bitty piece there. Take a flat blade. There we go. Now we can go back with our new. We've got our butterfly valve here we can stick in, and just make sure that it does come up past so that it doesn't come back out on you. And then put your breather in there. Just get it started. You ain't got to smash it in there. Now we'll get our gasket, which is this. Sets right over that. And then up top, we got a gasket that sets right over that. Then we've got our breather assembly that goes on right over that. Our breather bolts will be blue Loctited. So slide one in. I like to go ahead and put the bolts in both gaskets. Slide them down. Do that. Then we'll glue them while they're together, and then we can set them down in there. Now we can set everything down in there nice and neat, and we should be able to thread these in. Yeah. So I was supposed to do this according to the manual before I tighten these down, just to get them started. That way we know everything's lined up. It kind of helps to line everything up. But you can visually inspect where your rocker arms are setting on your valves and where your push rods are setting. Now I can spin my exhaust. I can spin my intake. Now I'm ready to go another quarter turn. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we'll wait. They're tied again. We'll let them bleed back down. We'll just keep on going. I'm probably going to go ahead and rebuild this back breather assembly as well. Well, I got all the parts right here. Clean it up, and then we'll be ready to put her. Once this gets done and they're bleeded out, we can rotate the motor and start working back here. I'm going to go ahead and clean up this gasket surface up here as well. Fingernail works pretty good on this chrome stuff. But that's what he was seeing off in his filter, I'm pretty sure. Hand ratcheted tight all the way down. I can spin my exhaust, I can spin my intake. The spin on these feel really, really good. I don't feel, any catches anywhere. Feels like they're seated in well. Spinning nice and smooth. I can also take me a light, look down in the lifters, just to make sure they're setting, where I want them to set. I can also look up in here, make sure that's setting in the arm good and that's setting in the arm good. I think I am good. I'll go to the other side and look as well. From the back side here, everything seems to be setting really good. 18 to 22 foot-pounds, so we're going to go 20 foot-pounds. We're going to go with number 1. And it's not a lot, 20 foot-pounds isn't that much. Now we can go ahead and run our breather bolts in, and they are 3/8 head, I believe. So we'll go with 100. All right, now I'm going to wait again. I'm going to let these bleed back off. Okay, our exhaust is bled and our intake's bled. Okay, now we're good. We'll go ahead and put our cover on. I've got this cleaned up here best I can. We'll get us a gasket. Now these gaskets have a weird cutout on this end and a flat on this end. flat on this end, a weird cutout on this end. You'll put it up there. If it don't match up, flip it over. But you want to make sure you got a cutout. I've seen a customer come up for an oil leak, and guess what? He put the gasket on backwards, both this one and the one under it. So it's important. It won't stay up there on you. So go ahead and get the cover. I've got our bolts cleaned up. I got the threads cleaned up. And I went ahead and cleaned up the top best I could and then relabeled it for us. Just so, you know, we can see what we're doing. Now, some people will go ahead and put a little bit of oil down in here. But on the twin cams, it's not necessary. And the manual does not say to do that. So I don't think you even put Loctite on the cover, but let me make sure. Yes, they do take blue Loctite according to the manual. And these things are torqued pretty tight. 15 to 18 foot-pounds. Can you believe that? For covers. And it's because if you don't torque them and in the right sequence, they will leak. They will leak. Then you're pulling the tank again. All right, you got 3 short bolts that go over here toward the spark plug hole. But let me go ahead and get my gasket and all lined up here. There we go. These are our long bolts. The cover is wider on this end. Then I'll go over to the other side and work on my other 3 short bolts. All right, 7/16. And I've got it labeled up here. What I want to do is just go down till it touches, till it gets seated. So I'll use this. I can go little clicks at a time. Make sure your washers are on there. All right, 15 to 18 foot-pounds, so I'm gonna go 16. Maybe 15 and a half, let's do that. Well, these seem to be pretty accurate. We'll go 16. We'll see how that goes. All right, so I'm just gonna go a little at a time. I do not want to bend these covers. We got the good James gasket kits on there. All right, now we can do our final torque here. Here's 5. Here's 6. Okay, we can go ahead and check 1 again. Yep. 2 again. Yep. All right, so we are good. Do a little bit of carb cleaner on a rag. Get my markings off there. And this side is done. We've got to put our push rod tubes back up on there. But now that everything's down and good, we can still spin our push rods really, really nice. Feels great. So on our tubes, we'll just push those in. We will take our clips and a flathead, and then we will run this top tube up, wiggle it around till it fits right up in that gasket in the head. And then we can run our little clip up there, push that down just like that. Now we can go ahead and do our intake as well. Since we oiled everything up, everything's sliding nice and good. Make sure that's seated up in there. We'll take this, we'll wiggle, wiggle, and work. Boom, perfect. Very good. Now we can move on to our rear. All right, sorry about the voiceover here, but I did lose some audio just for a couple minutes. Now it's going to help you if you go ahead and get those push rod arms up, standing straight up, and then you can have room then to slide your push rods in. So I went ahead and put the intake in, and then I'll put the exhaust in. Make sure your tubes are in too, and it's got enough room to slide right in there and get right on down. Now the way you raise those rocker arms up is you actually get them off the valves, and then you can turn them up and then raise it up again, and you can turn them right back down and seat them right on top of the push rod. So you want to make sure they're on there good, and they're up in the cups good, and they're back on the valves good. And then we can go ahead and drop in our front 2 bolts for the rocker arm assembly, and remember the rear bolts stay in there, so they're still in there. Now we can rotate the rear wheel and make sure that both the push rods are down in their lowest setting, and they are. Now we're good to go ahead and raise the rocker arm assembly up, make sure it's on the valves in the back, and then it should all set down nice and neat. Make sure your push rods are down in the lifter holes, in the cups, and up in the top of the rocker arms as well. And we can slide our bolts back in and run those down kind of finger tight. I'm just going to take a ratchet and wrench and just kind of get them down just to where they're about to touch. I don't want to go any further than that because I still got to put my breather assembly on to make sure those bolt holes are lined up. And to get that breather assembly on is kind of a bear. And I've already rebuilt the rear breather assembly. You do it just like the front. But to get this in, you have to have the bolts already in there for that rear and the front, I believe, as well. I'll go ahead and blue both bolts up. You don't blue the rocker arm bolts, but the manual says to blue the breather assembly bolts. And now, to get this in, you're going to have to get the head of that rear bolt in. Then you're going to have to raise the bolt up to the top of the frame to give you enough room to get the bottom of that threaded bolt kind of into the hole. And be careful not to booger up the threads that are on that. And then once you do that, things just kind of fit in and they just fall right down together. You may have to go to the other side of the bike to raise that bolt up and get it where you want it, but it will fit in there. And make sure your gaskets are good and in there as well. Okay guys, I don't know how much you heard or saw or felt of that. My mic just went dead. So I think we are good. I actually got it situated fairly easy. I got all the gaskets up under there. That's threading in. I'm sorry guys if you missed something. And I hate that because that's on this rear head. So this had to be ran in with the bolts in the breather assembly. Then once you get this rear bolt kind of the head of it up underneath the frame, then you can raise it up. Then it'll go up in there and get kind of up underneath the frame. Then you can get all these ran down. So I don't know. I don't know what you saw, what you didn't see. I'll have to wait till we go back to edit, but I'm not pulling this off again. So all that is down and good now. Now we can focus on these. I'm going to wait because already my exhaust is tight. So I'm going to wait, let that exhaust bleed down. It does look like this is closed down more than this. So we'll wait and we'll see. I will also go charge my mic while we're waiting for this to bleed down. I'm going to go ahead and clean. I've already cleaned all this off around here. Got the threads cleaned up best I could. I might work a little bit more on these. Clean that top because once you get the top on, you can't clean it. So I'll go ahead and clean it off, relabel it so we know where. Maybe label down here. Might be easier to see. You want a wrench? Huh? Okay, I'll let you wrench. It won't be too much longer, buddy. You'll be out here with me. You'll be carrying on the next generation. Yeah, buddy. Time you get my age, there won't be nobody knows much about these old bikes. There's a sports bike come up for a motor swap, crotch rocket, and my little grandson Brewer's out here. He's excited about that. They look sporty. They look good. All right, I'm gonna let that keep bleeding on down. Let my mic keep charging, and be right back. All right, I'm back now. I got my microphone back while this was bleeding down. It was charging. Now we're I got the hiccups too. Now we're ready to torque. Got everything good and loose. I'm going to start with number 1 back here in the back, then 2, then 3, then 4. 20 foot-pounds is what I'm reaching for. And I got this torque adapter, and I learned from you guys, you torque at 90 degrees. I used to torque there. Nope, it's a 90-degree torque. And I'll have to put this upside down on this back over here. Try to get this at a 90 degree. There's a quarter turn. Then number 2 here. There's a quarter turn. So we're not quite there yet. Number 3. Quarter turn. Let me do number 4, and then we'll have to let it bleed down again before we go another round. All right, we're back. These are loose again. We start over here on number 1. I'm pretty sure this will be our last torque sequence here. Very good. These little dog bone torque adapters are awesome. Work like a charm. Now, we've got to do our breather bolts. They're 90 to 120 inch-pounds. So I want to go to 100. Very good. So we are locked down. My exhaust is smooth as butter. Intake the same. All right. Now before I put the top on, I just want to rotate it and watch it. Because we're all set, we're all timed. There's my exhaust, there's my intake. It's nice and smooth. So smooth, so nice. Oh, yes. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop these down now. Let's work on you back here first. There we go. Make sure that's on there really, really well. There, now you went up in there. Just had to hold my mouth right. Boom. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Our revival kind of turned into how-to on the cam bearing and chain tensioners. All right, those there. I've already got my cover cleaned up, relabeled, ready to go on. Took some Quad Zero steel wool and got all the junk off there, and this is ready to go back on. Just like that. I got my cutouts up there good. I'm just going to drop one in there just to kind of hold it. Then I'm going to glue all my other ones, get them ran in. My long one's up here. Now I can take this out and glue it too. We had a nice little rain come in. It's supposed to rain all week here. But boy, we had a good ride Saturday. Man, it was a good ride. Going back together really, really well. Now you, with this cruise cable, can I get you? You only go in one way. I got you out, so I know. Come out. Do you go this way and then down? Oh, good grief. That thing ran off on me. Hit my boot and took off. Went somewhere. Down here. There it is. I'll put you back here maybe. Am I going to have to take all these other ones out to get that one in? I'm going to have to take all these other ones out just to get that one in. If that had just gave, like, I'm talking about a 1/4 inch room. That's all it would have needed. Yeah, that's what I had to do. Now I got to raise you up and get my gasket in there. Well, I'll be, for Pete's sake. All right, we got it in. My other one shouldn't be that bad. All right, that one's in. The rear one's in. Okay, and then this, I guess, clips in there. Oh no, I don't want you clipped in yet. Oh yeah. 20 foot-pounds, and that's a 7/16. I'm gonna go till it just starts kind of beeping, and then go to the other side. I don't want to fully torque them down. I don't ever like doing that until they're kind of even. And 3's on the other side. The one on this side was in the middle, and then number 3 is up here in the front. And then number 4 is here. Number 5 is in the back on this side. And number 6 is right here. All right, now it should be good to go ahead and torque them down the final torque. And 6. Okay. Let me go check 1 again and 2 again. They start in the middle. Yeah, I think that's good. So it's 18 to 22, and I did 20. So I know we got at least, oh yeah, we're good. All right, very good. Well, that is done. We can rotate this over. Should be nice and smooth. It is. I've already got my exhaust gaskets in. Oh yeah, nice and smooth. Now, before we throw everything together and go cranking on this, I want to drop the oil, change the oil filter, grab some new plugs, throw them in. Now, for the exhausts, I'm going to wait to do the floorboard till the exhaust headers get on, but I want to show you what goes on and what I was talking about with these dudes right here. So a lot of people want to go ahead and try to ram a jam this up in here, then try to get the front end, but you'll scratch all this up back here. So what you actually do is just go ahead, get your front kind of loaded and ready to go, and bring it, whoop, gotta take my bolts out, my nuts out. I had them up in there where I wouldn't lose them. And all the studs stayed up in there nice and good, though it was pretty rusty. I know it's tempting, even I want to try to go in with the rear, but you actually don't. Go in with that front first. You can actually go ahead and get that front carefully up over the studs. No, I'm mistaken, because it's not going to clear my brake pedal. So I guess I will have to go in with my rear first, then bring my front up. Well, I always thought I went the other way. Well, I told you wrong, but I'm glad I showed you right. I just want to get these nuts started so it kind of holds everything on so nothing falls out on me. You want to take your time. You definitely don't want to cross thread these. Okay, that one's on. Now back here, that's why if I can, try to put them on with my fingers so I know they're not cross-threaded. Oh, we got to get a battery too. Well, for goodness sakes. There you go. And I forgot about my daggum bracket back here. Can I even get you out now? Yes, okay. Now we're in business. Now I can get a wrench and a ratchet in there. I like using a 1/4 inch ratchet and a short socket. Really seems to fit up in there a whole lot better. And I'll need a wobble, a wibbly wobble, and an extension. I like to tighten on the rear first. Just go ahead and kind of get it up there a little snug. I'll push up on the pipe, just make sure my pipe is actually setting against the gasket. Okay, I just want it to touch and kind of hold up in there. Then I'll put me a little wiggle wobble on here. I can go right up under here with that short socket. It'll fit just on there until it gets kind of snug. Now I'll come up here in the front. I'll start on this one up here in top. I want to push on my pipe, make sure it's setting up in there nice and good. It is. Then I can take this extension off, and with this short, I can get right in behind this brace and the clutch cable and go right in there. Most of your exhaust leaks you're going to find when it's a 1, 2 in 1 is going to be on your rear. So I always tighten that down good first. Now I'm assured that both of my header pipes are setting up in there. So I'm good on that end. Very good. Now up here, I'm not sure if there's a torque to exhaust nuts. I just always kind of get them pretty snug without fear of breaking off the stud or stripping out the stud. Very good. Now grab your pipe. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, if there's any kind of movement at all, they're not seated up in there well, something's wrong. All we got to do at this point, I'm going to wipe off my numbers here, and on the other side with some carb cleaner, takes it right off. I'm going to put my cruise control cable snap back in. And I got to put all this garbly goo on this on for the backrest release. Okay, so we got everything back together, got our exhaust on, all the chrome covers, the mufflers on. I shouldn't have put the mufflers on because I got to do brakes. So now there's that. But I did anyway. Got the tank back on. I PB lubed up the hose that goes up in the tank. I cleaned it off real good, PB'd it again, sprayed some PB Blaster up inside there just to lube those O-rings. You don't know if they're going to work till you hit the key and fuel pressure builds up. Then you don't know if you got a leak or not. It felt like it went in good. I got the oil change, got the transmission fluid change, got the new K&N oil filter in. I put I think 2.5 quarts in. That's enough to run it. And then we'll get it off the lift once the brakes are changed. And I go over every kind of little thing, and then I'll top it off. But the new battery's in, it's hooked up. I got the key fob up there in the ignition. Now, what I want to do is crank the bike, but I don't want the bike to run. So I want to crank, listen for any kind of chatter or noise, and I want I want oil pressure to build up till I see that oil light go off. That's important. I don't want this running with no oil up in the top. And it's been setting a long time, so I sure don't want this to fire up and be at a high RPM because the bike is cold and trying to warm up. So the easiest way is to pull the fuel pump fuse. Let me show you where that's at because it can be a little tricky on these models. So on this 06 Road King, you would think that the fuel pump fuse would be under here at the fuse block. You have the maxi fuse, the big 40 amp fuse. Then you have all these other little fuses that just kind of comes out, but it's not here. It's actually on the right side of the bike. Let me show you that. EFI, electronic fuel ignition, igniters, injectors, is on this side. So you'll have the brain box here, the ECM. This is a tuner, an aftermarket tuner. So we'll just unvelcro that. And this is a diagnostic plug. And then right there, you'll see the actual fuel pump fuse and ECM power. And now before you go trying to think this just slides out this way and yanking on this, it does not. Actually, underneath this harness, I don't know why they put it there, is a little sticker that says push here to remove. Once I get this out, you'll see, but you actually got to run your finger up under here, push in on the plastic, and this actually slides down. Then it's got to clear that relay there. Then this can slide out on you. And there's that little push here to remove. You really can't see it when it's under there. I remember the first time working on a bike like this, it took me forever. I'm like, I know it's got to have a fuel pump fuse. And then I couldn't figure out how in the world you get the thing out. So that's it. I think I tried to take all this off and everything before I saw the writing down there. So here we got a spare, we got a fuel pump fuse, ECM power. No spare in there, so I want to pull this 15 right here. So now we have no power going to the fuel pump. Now when we hit the key over, we can crank and we can watch and make sure that oil pressure light does go off. So I've got you up here best I can. I'm not sure what you'll be able to see. I'm getting a new stand, I promise you, and it's going to be nice. It's going to have an arm, bring you right out over top. I want to see if there's any codes on this. So before I hit this ignition over, now the fuel pump should not run. I've got it in the run position on this switch. I'm going to hit the key over and hold in this while I do. I already see the security light flashing. So I'm going to hold this in, switch this over. It's going to go into diag. I just want to check and see if there's any codes in here. So I'll go to my P, I'll hold it, no codes. I'll go to my S, I'll hold it. No codes. I'll go to my SP and hold it. No codes. And then my T shouldn't be usually anything under there. So now that's done. Now I still have my light on. So I don't know if it's even going to crank with this on or not. Good thing is I didn't hear the fuel pump running, so that's good. If it's actually going to crank or not. Might have to get a battery for this. Here's my oil light I'm looking for. No, I've got nothing. Okay, so we're going to have to replace this battery here because it is not working. Not at all. All right, I got my new battery in the key fob, but when I took the old one out, it looked like it was upside down. So let's fire it up, see how it's going to sound. I tried cranking without the fuel pump, and it's not, the light never goes off. So maybe the bike has to be running for the oil pressure light to go off. So let's see. Turn ignition on. No more security light. That's good. I think we're going to fire this time. The flashers aren't flashing. Let's see. Put about a gallon in there. There we go. Ooh, she sounds good. Move the brake pads out of the way. Oh yeah. Running nice and smooth. See if we got charging. 13.9 at idle. Of course, it's a brand new battery too. Sounds really, really good. Little vibration on the front, maybe a front motor mount. But I don't know if you can hear it or not. It's not a lifter tick or a push rod tick or a valve tick. I don't know how well the mic's picking up. It sounds to me like an exhaust leak. It's really kind of flat clap. I hear it out the rear, and I hear it out the front as well. Now I did go ahead and use the gaskets, those little flat circle gaskets, exhaust gaskets that came in the kit, because I thought I had some of those nice concave ones or curved ones, but I didn't. So I think that's what the problem is. I did check my bolts, my exhaust bolts. My nuts are up there good and tight. Of course, once you warm it up, you can kind of tighten them a little bit more. But I think that's what I'm hearing. And it sounds like it's got a little bit of a baby cam in it. Sounds really good. Oil pressure's doing great. Let it warm up a little bit more. Check for leaks, which when you go back with good gaskets and you torque it to spec, should be good. I don't see any kind of leaks. Our fuel pressure, our fuel gauge is not leaking at all. Nice and dry. Our crossover's not leaking. As far as revival, you know, let's check our turns. Our left turn is good. Our right turn is good. Let's check our brake. Our front brake is good. Our rear brake's not braking. And it feels really spongy. So I don't know if my rear brake switch has gone out or if there's not enough fluid in there where it needs new brake pads to actually build pressure up to push that switch in for my brakes to turn on. Do I have running lights? I'm not going to check the cruise. Our high beams. Alright, our high beam is not working. Our horn works. Let's check the passing lights. Is it on this switch? Our passing lights are working. Our high beam light is not working. It is out. Sounds great. Running really, really good. But I hear that pancake sound up here, and I'm 99% sure it's those smaller exhaust gaskets where it had the bigger ones in it. So what I'm going to do is change those out and get the ones that was in it, and that should take care of that noise. See how it responds to throttle. Sounds good. Very good. Okay, so we do have some reviving to do. We got a no bright light issue, no rear brake light issue. Replace those exhaust gaskets, replace the brakes. That should be about it. Of course, don't know how it shifts or anything like that, but the fuel system is great. You know, when they went to the Delphi, that was a good thing. Usually don't have much trouble out of it. Now I say that after working on the cursed Dyna, but I think that thing was intentionally sabotaged. So looks really good. I'm so glad we didn't have to do any fuel thing, but we still have some work to do. Well, as far as a step-by-step of how to change out the inner cam bearings and the cam chain tensioners, that's pretty much going to do it for this part 2, and it's already, I think, about an hour and a half long. However, we still have a lot of reviving to do. We have an issue with the brake switch. We have an issue with the headlight. We got to change the brakes, probably flush the fluid. We've got to take all these pipes back off and put on the upgraded exhaust gaskets. I don't know why James Gaskets doesn't include the upgraded exhaust gaskets. I guess I should have known better than to put the ones that come in the kit, the smaller ones that are really for the Evos. They work good in those. But for these twin cams, those coned exhaust gaskets work the best. I'm pretty sure that's what our sound's coming from. I did a stethoscope all around. There's no lift or tick or knock. It's not up in the rockers. I think it's the exhaust gaskets. It had the cone ones in before, and you know, I was just using what come in the kit. Now I'm not going to charge, of course, the customer subscriber any more money for going back and swapping those gaskets out, but we'll do that in the revival. So we've got a part 3 coming out now of reviving this. So if you ever need to do any brake work or need to change the exhaust gaskets, have an exhaust leak or headlight issue, we're going to replace grips as well, adjust the cable. It's kind of a little sloppy, so hang out for part 3 next week. So thank you guys so much. Now I understand these step-by-steps. I put a warning up in front of all my videos. I'm an idiot, okay? I even spelled idiot wrong in my warning label and decided to leave it in there. This is just for, you know, just for entertainment purposes. Always refer to a manual that goes with your bike. If you feel like, oh, this is too much really for me, or I don't have the right tools for this, take it to, you know, somebody you trust and let them do it. So thank you so much for hanging out with me and helping me out in the shop with this part 2 of reviving this 06 Road King. And already the subscribers like, I can't wait to be back on her. So thank you so much, and tell your mom and them I said hi.